Paranormal, extrasensory perception, spiritualism, cryptozoology, telekinesis, poltergeists, ghost, UFO, alien, etc. Faery. Faery. Faery, a mythical being of folklore and romance, usually having magic powers and dwelling on Earth in close relationship with humans. It can appear as a dwarf creature, typically having green clothes and hair, living underground or in stone heaps, and characteristically exercising magic powers to benevolent ends, as a diminutive sprite commonly in the shape of a delicate, beautiful, ageless winged woman dressed in diaphanous white clothing, inhabiting fairyland, but making usually well-intentioned intervention in personal human affairs, or as a tiny, mischievous, and protective creature generally associated with a household. Hearth. While many of these depictions are considered purely fictional, creatures such as fairies, somewhat like human beings but with abilities that transcend the physical realm, find correlates in the angels or other spiritual beings of many religions. When a belief in the afterlife and the realm of spirit are accepted, the existence of beings that have such supernatural abilities becomes possible. Thus, it may be that the origin of such creatures lies not so much in the desire of human beings to experience all that the physical world has to offer, but rather in fleeting experiences of creatures from the spiritual realm. While the term faery goes back only to the Middle Ages in Europe, analogues to these beings in varying forms appear in both written and oral literature, from the Sanskrit Gandharv to the nymphs of Greek mythology and Homer, the genii of Arabic mythology, and similar folk characters of the Samoans, of the Arctic peoples, and of other indigenous Americans. Fairies are generally portrayed as humanoid in appearance and as having supernatural abilities such as the ability to fly, cast spells, and to influence or foresee the future. Although in modern culture they are often depicted as young, sometimes winged, females of small stature, they originally were depicted much differently, tall, radiant, angelic beings or short, wizened trolls being some of the commonly mentioned. Even with these small fairies, however, their small size may be magically assumed rather than constant. Wings, while common in Victorian artwork of fairies, are very rare in the folklore. Even very small fairies flew with magic, sometimes flying on ragwort stems or the backs of birds. Much folklore of fairies involves methods of protecting oneself from their malice, by means such as cold iron, charms of rowan trees or various herbs, or simply shunning locations known to be theirs, ergo avoiding offending any fairies. Less harmful pranks ascribed to fairies include tangling the hair of sleepers into fairy locks, stealing small items, and leading a traveler astray. More dangerous behaviors were also attributed to fairies. Any form of sudden death might have stemmed from a fairy kidnapping, the evident corpse a magical replica of wood. Consumption was sometimes blamed on fairies who forced young men and women to dance at revels every night, causing them to waste away from lack of rest. Rowan trees were considered sacred to fairies, and a charm tree to protect one's home. Report a fairy? Have some fairy footage a cell integrated camera or a movie camera or a video camera? Have some fairy a picture? The Sasquatch's Lair, www.sasquatch.org, Paranormal, name, email, comment or message, submit.